if you are trans currently in Finland and you want to transition, even if it's just, legally transition from one gender to the other, you need to get sterilized, which I think is really inhumane. I don't really understand why there is such a requirement. Hello, everyone. Today it's time to talk about the new trans law proposal in Finland that is currently having its petition going on. So if you are a Finnish citizen, you can go sign that petition, and if it gets over 50,000 signatures, then the government will have to see and if it gets enacted or not. There's a link down below, you can go check that out. And before we get started, if you would like and subscribe, that would also help me out a bunch. And also, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. Central European Time on twitch.tv/funwithfondue. It would be great to see you there hanging out with us. But let's get to the video then, shall we? Currently, the Finnish trans law is not great on how it treats trans people and trans youth specifically. And there is a new kansalaisaloite. I'm not sure how it's said in English, but those are essentially petitions that anyone can do for a change in the law. And if it gets over 50,000 signatures within 6 months, then the government has to handle that case and see whether the law is changed or not. And the signatures are, of course, verified signatures, so you can't scam the system. And there is a new citizens initiative called Oikeus Olla, which means in Finnish, the right to exist. And this aims to change the current trans laws that we have in Finland. So I'm here on the Trans ry website. So we can have a look what it's about and why this is so important. This citizens initiative aims to have a more just trans law, and the aim of this initiative is to have a law for trans people that would be based on self-determination, that respects the rights of children, and also the international agreements that are binding Finland currently, and that Finland currently is not respecting. All right. So here are the five main points, 5 hot main points of this new trans law that is being proposed in this citizens initiative. Number 1, the necessity for sterilization be removed for legal transition. Number 2, the requirement for a medical diagnosis for legal transition removed. Number 3, that transitioning legally is just a matter of informing for anyone who has turned 15 years, and for anyone younger, they need their guardian's approval. Number 4, the right of your partner in a registered relationship to veto your transition should be removed. And number 5, the trans registry that is being currently managed by the government should be removed. So these are the changes that are in this proposed law. And like I said, if it gets 50,000 votes, over 50,000 signatures, it will have to be handled, or it will have to be brought up to the parliament to decide if the law goes into effect or not. So here are some common questions that you might ask considering this citizens initiative. Why the citizens initiative in general? So the trans community in Finland has long already felt that the current law for trans people is discriminatory and has not been made to serve trans people, but it's been made to serve cis people who are afraid of trans people. The trans community has already demanded for a change in the law, but there hasn't been a change. So the community has decided that a citizens initiative is the best and possibly only way to get the trans people's rights to be respected and secured. So the point of this citizens initiative is to get this initiative in front of lawmakers and for them to listen, because as Mido mentioned, if it gets that 50,000 signatures, they are obliged to consider it by law. And there's a good question here, like, isn't the government already updating the trans law? So the government has put into its program to update the trans law, but that has been delayed. And they are doing a slimmed down version of that. So in the current proposed changes by the government, they would still require an investigation regarding, gender affirmation, which could be rejected or accepted depending on, the situation and who is doing the evaluation. And also, minors are not considered in any way in this law proposal. So the only thing that this law that the government proposes would do is it would remove the requirement to be sterilized, which I will mention in a bit, and it wouldn't really we wouldn't really respect the rights of children and young people, and it wouldn't be based on self-determination. So then an important question is that what is legal gender? I'm not sure if that's the correct English language term, but what does it mean? So legal gender means what is your gender in all your official documents, your passport, driver's license, all that kind of stuff. In theory, that is a change that can be done but with a few clicks. So, it's hence why it is an important point here. And of course, many people might think well, why is this about underage people? Shouldn't it be just about adults? Even though someone is underage, they still have rights. So, for example, in the Finnish constitution and the UN's children's rights agreements, they have certain statements there. One of them is the right to affect things that affect yourself, kind of, if I can put it this way, depending on your level of maturity, which includes the right to change your legal gender. So that changing your legal gender is, effectively the same as changing your legal name. So hence the age restrictions should be the same for changing your legal gender and changing your legal name, for example. They're effectively the same procedures, so to speak, legally. But then, of course, you might be asking, why is it so important that someone can change an underage person can change their legal gender? Well, changing your legal gender is part of social transitioning. If you change your name as a trans person who's underage, then changing your gender is also really important for that social transitioning. And according to research, social transition notably helps the well-being of trans children and trans youth, and it lowers the risk of depression and other mental health disorders and their negative development. And changing your legal gender is also, you can change it back. It's not like you change it once and then it's like, well, that's it, you can't change it anymore. No, you can change it back. So the changes that are proposed here would make it so that a 15-year-old can already change their legal gender, just as with your legal name as well. That's what's being proposed here. So here the question is, will the trans law also affect trans healthcare? So currently, to transition, or even to change your legal gender, you need a medical diagnosis, and you also need a statement of sterility, which is why you need, if you are trans currently in Finland and you want to transition, even if it's just, legally transition from one gender to the other, you need to get sterilized, which I think is really inhumane. I don't really understand why there is such a requirement. So the proposed changes in this new law would separate medical and legal sections of gender affirmation. So these should be separate things. So this law is not about gender affirmation from the healthcare side, it's more on the legal side. So the current trans law, because you might ask, isn't it good enough? No, it's not. It is currently against human rights. It doesn't respect the agreements that Finland is under in the United Nations, for example. And these changes would bring it in line with that. And the specific things that break those agreements are the fact that you have to be sterilized and that you have to be 18. And currently, we have a trans registry in Finland. So we basically have a separate registry in Finland that says if you're trans, if you've transitioned, or sorry, who have legally transitioned, I should make that clear. So having this registry is not really justified. It's a safety risk for marginalized people, trans people. Because, for example, extremist organizations are very interested in these types of lists, and they could try to use these lists for acts of violence or other crimes. So one of the things that the law proposes is getting rid of this registry, which I wholeheartedly agree with. I don't see any need to change that or to have this registry. It doesn't really serve a purpose. What does it matter if someone is legally speaking transitioned? Who cares? Doesn't matter. We don't need that information. Then also what is in the current law is that your partner has the right to veto your gender affirmation, which is ridiculous. So if you are in a registered relationship or if you're married, your partner has the right to veto the decision on your legal transitioning. It doesn't make any sense. It's not about your partner, it's about you, the trans person, and your transition. Like, this is a clear violation of, self-determination. It's not their business. Okay, well, this makes it even less make sense. So I have to correct myself. Because apparently, if you are married to someone, then they do not have the veto right, according to this. So if you're married to someone, your spouse does not have veto rights. But if you are in a registered relationship, which means you're not married, but you are officially together, from a legal standpoint, then your partner still has the right to veto, which is really weird. That doesn't make any sense Yeah, living together, essentially. Yes. That's really weird. Like, why would that exist in registered partnership and not exist in marriage? That doesn't make any sense. That makes it like even flimsier that exists. You cannot form a registered partnership anymore, but some may still be in a partnership. Ah, okay. So it's kind of a weird holdover of like, it's a thing that doesn't exist anymore, but some people might be still in it. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you did like this video, please do like, subscribe, and ring the bell down there. Do it there. It would help me out. And also, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. Central European Time on twitch.tv/funwithfondue, where I talk about politics and play some video games also from time to time. Come hang out with us. It's fun. Also, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/funwithfondue, if you want to support my channel. And hey, have a great one, won't you?